Good evening, Mayor and Council. It is now 7 p.m. and we are live online.
All right. Hey, everybody. All right. Evening. So this is a hybrid meeting. We do a workshop first, and then we'll do a council meeting. So the workshop is just for the council to get their business figured out as to what we want to do and have our discussions, and then the formal meeting will start up immediately thereafter. So this is the workshop. I'll observe the roll call. Maybe I should do a real roll call. All right. Carolyn Bennett Glauda.
Here.
Oh my goodness. Sergey Krasikov.
Present.
Paloma Wake.
Present.
The mayor is here. Amber Grant.
Here.
Zach Smith.
Here.
And Lestar Gordon.
Here.
Welcome all. This may be the last time that I do a formal roll call. But we have everyone here. The city administrator is here. Do we have someone from the city attorney online or appearing shortly?
Good evening, Mayor. I'm filling in for Nick while he is unfortunately stuck in traffic, and I apologize for my appearance. I do not have a suit jacket, but sweater and a tie.
We'll allow it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The tie looks good, though. Don't worry.
You're making the mayor look bad. I have an extra tie, Lee, if you want it.
No, I'm good. Thank you. I did that for way too many years. All right, so let's just start up the workshop items. These are all the typical things you have to do at the start of the year. We have to adopt a set of rules. These are the council rules. I don't know if you've all had a chance to review them, but they're pretty straightforward. There's only two things that are of note, well, 1.5 things, or 1 and a little things. The one is that the timing of the meetings has been adapted so that we can do the proposed agenda for the meeting schedule for 2026, which allows us in the rules to gang a workshop and a council meeting together. So that's the one change. Formally in the charter, our formal meetings are the first and third Mondays of the month. And so we have in the past, except in the summertime, put our workshops on other Mondays. In the last 3 summers, we've done them, the summertime we've done them together. That seems to have worked fine. So the only significant change is that one, which is proposing that we continue that habit of doing our workshop and then our meeting at the same night. That's the one item. And then the only other item is there's a clarification in terms of public comment, and that is the request that the comments be made on items that the council can act on. And that's really it. That was already there before. It's just Nick wanted to do a further clarification. And that's the extent of the changes. Otherwise, for those of you who've been here before, it's identical. Any issues with that?
I would like to have a further discussion about the adjustment to the schedule of combining the workshops and the meetings. I don't know if we should have that now or save that for the council meeting schedule item.
Yeah, let's wait. Let's do the second item, right? Because
Sure.
the rules are permitting us to do that without
Okay.
requiring us to do that. All
Got
right,
it.
and then we set the schedule. So anything else on the council rules of procedure?
I have a couple items that I wanted to bring up. One of them is the guidelines for the community segment. As of now, the mayor is a person who would authorize or invite community segment members to participate in community segment. Has it been done in the past where the council can suggest a community segment and bring an item for that?
So this is scheduling or a community segment, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think I think we can all do that by doing it at workshop, right? In our workshops, you're always allowed to make those suggestions. I don't know anywhere specifically in the rules.
I mean, I read this as that the speakers are placed on the agenda by arrangement with the mayor's office because the mayor sets the agenda and that's part of our charter. So to change that, like you can't say that like they're placed on there by council members' request because the council members don't set the agenda.
Understood.
Right.
Yeah, and that goes towards the mayor being the presiding officer of the council, as well as the chief executive officer of the city. And so the mayor's office has that authority inherent in that position.
All right, but that doesn't preclude anyone from, in a workshop, saying, can we get a community segment on such and such? That's how we get it done, right?
Yeah, do we want to add a sentence clarifying that council members are welcome to make suggestions or request community segments?
I'm perfectly fine with that. I got no issue, because that's what we do.
I guess the suggestion would be, and are placed on the agenda at the mayor's discretion, with, and who welcomes input from council?
What if we just added the phrase at the end, per discussions and workshop?
Great.
Is that all right?
That works.
Okay, yeah, cool. All right, so comma, per discussions and workshop.
And I have one more item, I don't know if it's chapter or clause 11, recording of meetings. I think it's not very elegantly written. It states that no recording is permitted without asking for consent 2 days prior, but then it says, but if it's a cell phone, you can do it. As a filmmaker in the past, I tend to lead with a permissiveness of recording and then setting the rules limiting if it is indeed disruptive to the meeting.
If I remember correctly, when we've discussed this in the past, the intent or the primary intent behind this was to not have a film crew come in and take over the meeting. Is that the intent that others are understanding of this provision?
Yeah, I think there's, additionally to that, I think that there is also the perspective of trying to make sure that people feel that they can speak without having somebody take a specific video recording of them and post it online, even though the meetings are recorded. There has been discomfort expressed by the public when individuals in the meeting were filming specific comments or speakers. So that was another piece of it, I think.
Yeah, and I would love to add some input to this. So case law provides that anyone who wants to record a meeting on their cell phone or in a non-disruptive way is able to. And so this provision right here applies to larger devices that can cause disruption. They might block someone's view. They could create a tripping hazard. And so the way that the rules are written right now, when someone is coming in with such larger camera for a recording, the council permission shall be granted upon a finding that the recording or broadcasting will not be disruptive or obstructive of the public meeting, and reasonable conditions may be imposed upon the granting of application. So it is, as drafted, a very wide acceptance for it, as long as it's not going to cause disruption or present a hazard.
I see. And what I heard you say, Christian, is basically it's written in light of a state law.
It's state law as well as case law, which and people have gone to meetings and caused disruptions with cameras or other recording devices, and courts have found that members of the public do not have that right. However, if they're recording in a non-disruptive way, like say on their cell phone or something, they're able to do that.
Okay. All right, everybody good with that?
Yeah, this doesn't feel urgent, or I don't feel the need to not vote on this, but perhaps this language could be clarified at some point to just read a little more smoothly. Because I agree, just as a member of the public trying to read this for the first time, it's not particularly clear what's intended or what is meant.
All right. Is it okay if we take that and ask the attorney if there's a simplification that is still consistent with case or state law?
That sounds great. I mean, Christian, what you verbally said sounded great.
Yeah, I would like some additional time to look on it. So, I mean, there's always, the council can always adopt these rules, and then we can present an amended more clarified version, making that distinction of the types of recording and the circumstances in when a more larger, like camera crew or something would be approved.
Sounds good.
All right. All right, so what I heard from council was we can adopt these, and we'll ask the city attorney to take a look at simplifying language, and if they come up with something, we can bring that into another workshop and amend this particular rule of procedure.
Sounds good.
All right? Anything else? All right, so everybody good? All right, so let's, that's one item. And then let's talk about the meeting schedule. So as I described, the last several summers, we've had this schedule where we do what we're doing this evening, which is have a workshop and then immediately following have our formal council meeting. We did that for this first meeting because under our rules, you would have had to have come to the workshop in December, which was a little early for you all, and we're required to hold the first meeting in the first Monday of the year. So that's why we're doing that here. So the proposal is for a schedule for 2026 that we do that as the general rule going forward. So in other words, this would be the same meeting format. On the first and third Mondays of each month, we would have a workshop and then a formal meeting. If, you know, that's the standard. If we need to have additional meetings, we can certainly do that. If we need to change it, we can certainly do that, but that's the going-in proposal. All right?
Yeah. And one aspect of the meeting schedule is, it's very common for legislative bodies such as the city council to adopt their meeting schedule for the whole year at the beginning. The open meetings law requires that notice be given to the public and local news outlets at least 72 hours in advance of regularly scheduled meetings. And so this will allow that notice to be given, and it doesn't have to continuously be given. It'll be added to the city's calendar on its website. And like the mayor said, if there's any issues or concerns, the schedule can always be amended in the future, or special meetings can be held by the council. And one of the reasons why this 2 meeting per month is being suggested is it has worked successfully during the summer months. We haven't heard any concerns or issues, and importantly, it helps administrative staff as well as our office facilitate the progress of agenda items. Oftentimes with having 4 meetings per month, we end a meeting, whether it be a voting meeting or a workshop, and are immediately working on items for the next agenda. And so during the summer months, when there's only 2 meetings, it allows some more time to have a really thought out progress of agenda items for the council.
All right, and I'd only add that no other community in the area meets as frequently as we do. The standard is twice a month. There are a couple communities that meet once a month. Any thoughts, comments?
Yeah, I have 2 primary concerns that I'd love to talk through. I'm not saying definitely no to this or anything like that, but I do want to make sure that we're being clear about our objectives and not sort of stumbling on any unintended consequences. My primary concern is that this format may end up discouraging public comment. I do think that there is one benefit to every first and third Monday at 7 p.m. public comment begins. And if public comment is happening after a workshop that will go on for an indeterminate amount of time, we see this happening in the planning board meetings. Obviously, this has happened for us over the summer. And you know, nothing's exploded, nothing terrible has happened, but I do, just in terms of thinking about the design of our meetings, want to make sure we are doing everything we can at all times, but especially in times like this, to make sure that the public has clear access to make their opinions known about whatever issues. In this instance, I think that potentially flipping the order and having our meeting first, and then the workshop could solve that. So we would still have 2 meetings, 2 hybrid meetings a month, but switch the order, or just have public comment first, and then workshop, and then do business or some other format. And my other concern is making sure that we're clearly having space for both the council and the public to have time to consider our issues. There are many things that we have discussed in workshop, and having that week between when we've discussed in workshop, maybe new thoughts have come up, things mature in my mind or in the public's mind, and there's a whole week for people to come to me, share ideas, before I actually have to make a final decision and vote on something. There are many items that do not require a whole week, and I absolutely hear the instances, Chris, when you have brought things to us that are timely and they don't require discussion. We don't need to belabor them, we just need them done. But there are also items that have surprised me in how complex they are once we really start digging into them, and I don't ever want to feel like we're rushing a decision. So I think flipping would also ameliorate that a bit. So we're hypothetically, voting on the things that are ready to be voted on, and then we workshop what we are going to vote on in 2 weeks. But I also don't want to be putting the administration in a position of items have to be ready 2 weeks in advance. Right now, things need to be ready a week in advance. So I'm wondering if there's a compromise here.
May I?
Yeah.
We thought this was a legitimate concern about not having a reliable time when you could come and comment. And we had talked to Nick about reformatting the meeting so that you would still have a public comment before the workshop portion of it, and then you'd have the final one at the end for people who came late.
Right. And
So
that's reflected in our procedures, right? Because the
Yes.
procedures have been updated for the order of business meeting agenda is public comment is first, community segment, public hearing, and then we go to workshop.
Yeah, and the intent behind that structure of it, it's Article 7 on the Rules of Procedure, is that so there could be public comment before an item is workshopped, and then subsequently have the council vote on items after both a public comment, or if public hearings are scheduled, that as well. And so that way, during the council's workshop and then ultimate discussions on it, they would have already had the benefit of the public. And I do see that Mr. Ward-Willis is there.
Welcome.
Thank
And
you.
Nick, Christian is very ably.
Excellent, good. I'm going to sit here and just listen.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and on the...
And then,
go ahead, you got it.
And Paloma, on the second point, perhaps there's a way that we can figure out a threshold for things that don't necessarily get voted on. I'm completely amenable to having the more complex items wait. Like, there are things that we would prefer not to wait on, like a hire of a entry-level position, for instance, or a contract that's not particularly controversial or complex. Maybe what we could do is any member of the council can flag items that they think might need a little additional time, and I think we can certainly build that in. We've done that. We've tried to build that in as we have done the summers, and we don't always get it right. Sometimes we're like, okay, that was more complex, but we'll often leave things on as the last resolution in case the council's not ready to do it, and then we can just pull it.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add is that we could, like we did in the summer, we can kind of do it and call it as we see it, right? Because if we see an issue in workshop and people say, I'd like to give this some time,
we just hold it.
We do hold a vote on the timing of it, and then we're good, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
And
the public comment was right, because we did see that also. I think
Yeah.
less people commented during the summer because it was
Yeah.
unpredictable when we were going to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that way at the beginning, it would be the fourth item on the agenda. There's the call to order, pledge of allegiance, roll call, and then right into public comment.
Yeah. It's essentially the same meeting order as we have now for a public meeting until you get to item G, where we would start workshop. I I guess I would say on this too, that I actually have some, I'm not quite sure the best way to say this. I think that this could actually help with public engagement in some ways, that not having to keep track of 4 meetings a month for the public could be helpful. And I think it would be really great if people were tuning in to more of the workshop discussion as opposed to just the voting meetings.
Yeah.
Because I think when people come for a voting meeting, they get an impression that, oh, they're already voting on this, but we've spent hours talking about it, just at a different meeting type. And so I think that sometimes that gets a little bit lost. And I'm optimistic that this could be a way to get a little bit more engagement in the workshop aspect of the meeting, where really a lot of the sausage is getting made.
Yeah, and I wonder, because we do lose interest when we go on and on certain issues. I wonder, and oftentimes people come in really interested in a particular issue. And I mean, the fact that we are on YouTube and on Zoom is huge in terms of accessibility. So if somebody needs to go get in their car and run an errand while they keep listening, like safely, you're allowed to do that. But I would like us to keep refining sort of what we keep in workshop before we vote, what we keep potentially as space for workshop after. I think the other thing that we've had in workshops that I think has been important and in some ways we've underutilized but has been really helpful in the past is that portion at the end of workshop where, according to our bylaws, council members can bring up any item that we wish that has not necessarily been set forward on the agenda already by the mayor. And sometimes we have extended, interesting conversations in that space, and I want to make sure that we're not truncating at least the opportunity for that if there's an appropriate issue for us to bring up that's not on the agenda.
Okay. That all seems fair comments, right? And I think we have enough flexibility where we can see if it works. If we need to change it, we can.
I'd be curious to understand also, I'm curious to see how this goes, and I'd like to set a time to check in and see how it's going, and potentially I'd like to be really clear about what our goals are here in making this shift. I'm hearing like impact on burnout, I think for staff, probably also for those of us who sit at the table who are elected. I'm hearing about the ability to go deeper on certain agenda items by having more time. And I think that we are perhaps hopeful that we'll have even more public engagement with this adjustment. Are there other goals that we have here?
Well, so the couple of things I would add is I start from a different starting point, which is I don't know why we do the way we do it, since we're the only community that does that. And my impression is that we end up using our own schedules for roughly the same amount of hours, but they're spaced over 4 Mondays. And I'm struggling to understand why we keep doing that when nobody else does. So I kind of have a different starting point. That doesn't mean that the comments that have been raised, I think, are all fair and ones that we should pay attention to and see how they work. But I kind of start from the other point of, I can't explain why we keep doing this. So
I wonder if we are a better governed city because we go deeper into issues, and whether some other municipalities just have to vote faster and without proper insight and reflection. As somebody who spent a lot of time on the other side and witnessed the length of the meetings, workshops, and the actual public meetings, they kind of tend to go, a couple hours each, and that sometimes still feels there was not enough time to discuss certain issues. So if we combine them, are we trying to find efficiencies? Are we embracing for our own meetings? Are we embracing kind of just speeding through certain items? So just like reflection from the other side.
Yeah, I think so. Having run with this schedule for 2 summers now, I don't really feel that during the summer, when we do this, when we have a combined meeting and workshop, that we're not having quality discussions. And I don't necessarily think the length of the discussion is an indication of quality either. I think that the council has always said, like, we would like to bring this back to workshop. There are some questions that we have that we would like input from legal on, and we will continue to workshop this. So it's not like you can only workshop something once and have to move on with your life. I think we have always taken the time to workshop to the extent that we are ready to vote, and the council determines when we're ready to vote.
But I think this sounds like a interesting new experiment, and I'm on board as long as the meetings stay at a reasonable length. But I think time seems to expand to the parameters that you give it, and we might find a way to be more efficient. And I think it also, another benefit is that it frees up every other Monday for people who are civically engaged to go to county legislature meetings and school board meetings. And I think that could be a huge benefit. And one thing I just want to also keep an eye on, I'm looking at the calendar, and March, June, and one other month, there's 5 Mondays in the month, so that would give us a 2-week gap. So that might be something that we want to keep an eye on if that's too much time to go without a meeting.
Yeah, I think, and again, we can always schedule, like, if there is a topic that really needs a designated workshop, that we need to bring in somebody to, I don't know, do training or something, like, we can always call another meeting with the appropriate level of notice, which isn't really that much. So I think that example where there's 5 Mondays, if there's a bunch of stuff that's on the docket and we feel like we could use a workshop, I think we have the flexibility to do that.
Could we clarify what the required notice is? Like how much is not much?
I think it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Well, go ahead, Christian.
72 hours for a meeting scheduled in advance. So if you know you're going to have a meeting on Thursday, you have to get the notice out on Monday. If it's an emergency kind of situation where there needs to be a special meeting now, it's to the extent reasonably practicable under the circumstances. And so our office works with staff in order to make sure that the appropriate notice is given in a timely manner.
I see. So in the event that we would want to discuss something within the 2-week parameter, for whatever reason, assuming it wasn't a true emergency, what level of notice would we need to give in order to schedule a meeting, say, in an interim Monday on a kind of ad hoc basis?
72 hours.
72 hours, okay. At least in my opinion, that seems reasonable. It would seem to me that if such items came up in such a meeting where we decided we, for whatever reason, whether the salience of the points or what have you, would necessitate an interim meeting in the within those 2 weeks, 3-week notice, or 3-day notice, excuse me, seems reasonable for us to do that on an ad hoc basis when needed.
Yeah, but I think in practice, we'll have more time. I mean, if we start up a workshop and we see, you know, I'll pick something, we're biting off too big a portion of the Fishkill Avenue recommendations. In other words, we chunk it down into parts, but for some reason we've picked a part and it's long. Well, we'll say, you know, okay, let's do a full, you know, one topic workshop. We'll set it, you know, either 1 or 2, you know, Mondays ahead of time, and we'll cover these issues only, right? And that, I think, would work and would give us much better notice than just the minimum legal requirement.
I did want to clarify, in terms of that 72 hours notice, we currently also have a practice of the agendas going out the Friday before a Monday meeting. So would we expect that timeline in the schedule as well, or would it be possible to get items a little earlier?
I would envision that your practice would be something would come up at your meeting that you would discuss, and you would say at that meeting, we probably need, because we have a 3-week span, we're going to have another meeting next week, and then we notify people a week in advance, and that gives us time to get all of the documents ready as well, and we would post them as a regular meeting, unless you had an emergency situation. Unfortunately, we haven't had that.
Yeah.
The other thing about the length of meetings is we do try to we plan ahead, like we know we're going to have the capital program to you at the last meeting in May. We know when we have the budget discussion. So we try to keep the major planning and zoning things that really take a lot of time off of those meetings. So we do try to figure out how much is time sensitive, and then what can we do in terms of going down the list of any zoning and planning and other policy initiatives. And if you think we're doing too little or too much, just let us know. We've been trying to keep the meetings to about 2 hours. Because I know the planning board often will go to 12 or 1, and I don't know that they're making great decisions by 11:30, 12 o'clock. It's just hard to physically pay attention for 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
We used to be there, and I can tell you it's very hard to make decisions at 11:30 at night.
Okay. So we try it out, and we'll collect input. And we'll use workshops to collect input. Now, I would hazard a guess, at your thought, Paloma, that probably without scheduling it by about April, we'll probably have a discussion on how we're doing. But if we want to set a date, we can do that too. So.
Yeah, I don't need to set a hard date, but I just want to put out that I'd like us to be checking in on this and make sure it's accomplishing what we want it to accomplish.
Yep. No, I think that's right. All right, everyone
And
good?
Nick, I don't want to be presumptuous, but do you want 2 attorneys on now, or now that you're here? Should we let Christian go, or is he?
Absolutely. As long as you're done with the discussion topic, I figure then it's appropriate for him to leave.
Okay.
So
Bye, Christian.
you can take your tie off.
Christian, thank you for pinch hitting here
Thank you.
tonight.
And
Really
it was
appreciate it.
Nice to see you yesterday.
Yeah.
Nice to see you as well. Have a good night. Bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Okay. So next one is our designation of the Poughkeepsie Journal as our newspaper of record. Nick will explain why they're the only ones we can do this with.
Right, so New York State law requires that each municipality designate an official newspaper. The purpose of the official newspaper is for the public to know where to look for legal notices, notice of the public hearings of your planning boards, your zoning boards, the city council meetings, where are advertisements for bids placed, legal notices if you haven't paid your property taxes, items of that nature. So it's very prescribed by New York State law, and the law still requires that it be published in a newspaper. There is legislation pending in the state that would allow it to be published on the website, which would save money because you pay to have it published. And also, I think the trend is people are looking on your websites. That's not law yet, but when it does become law, we'll let you know. It is law in New Jersey, so we'll see how that works. The official newspaper needs to be a daily publication, published in print and mailed in a subscribed service. So the Poughkeepsie Journal satisfies that. The Highland Current, which does excellent articles, unfortunately does not satisfy that, so they cannot be your official newspaper.
And I ask every 2 years, Jeff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I ask that same question.
Comes
Because
up
nobody
every,
reads the Poughkeepsie
every
Journal.
single time.
I'll keep asking.
All right. Everybody good with it? And it's again, it's mostly like, tell me why we have to do this? And
Yes.
we explain. So thank you, Nick. So there's a couple of appointments. The first one is Amber Grant. In the charter, there is a role for acting mayor when the mayor is out of town or can't attend a meeting, and the primary role is chairing the meetings. And then if there is some, emergency going on that requires mayoral decision when the mayor is out of town, that's the other role. And I'd like Amber for you to do that.
I would be very happy to do that again.
All right. Everybody good with that? Yes. All right. And then the next one, we might want to just look at them all. Amber suggested maybe we would end up with a, what's it called?
Consent
Consent agenda item.
So these 4 members of the planning board are up. They're all existing members, and I'd like to reappoint them all. There are 3 statutory boards, the Board of Assessment Review, which has an October 1st date, which we've already taken care of, and the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Planning Board. The ZBA is complete. There are no changes, and then the only other one that we need to appoint in January is the Planning Board, and I'm happy to reappoint them all. I'm just ever grateful that they spend as much time and thoughtfulness as they do.
Same. I think all of these people, Jim is a little bit newer, but all of these people have been serving on the planning board for quite some time. And I really appreciate all of the work that they do. I think it would be great to get another kind of joint meeting on the books with them at some point, whenever, that aligns, but I'll just throw that out there early on, so maybe we can get something scheduled earlier in the year, and get some feedback on some of the legislation that we've been asking them about. So that's just a little bit of a side comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree, Amber, on both points.
Yeah, the one thing I'll add on planning board is we're starting to do our thinking of what we're bringing to council this year, and obviously in terms of planning and zoning, the recommendations of the Fishkill Avenue Concepts Committee will be chunked into parts and presented, and that's probably going to be a time where we want to have some interaction with the planning board, whether it's in person or asking for their input by letter. That's one. The other one that we're talking about is, if you remember from a couple years ago, we added some parcels to the historic zoning overlay. And there were an additional set of parcels not on Main Street that we didn't pick up. I'd like us to pick that up as well. A lot of work has already been done. So those are both going to be zoning topics and are probably opportunities for us to want to interact with the planning board.
And Mayor, the only add-on I would say, seeing this is the first time we're discussing with the council appointments, is that under the city charter, appointments are done by the mayor, and then it's the role of the city council to review those appointments and approve or reject them. You don't have the official responsibility or ability to suggest an appointment, but you can, of course, unofficially make suggestions to the mayor. But it is the role of the mayor to make the appointment that is then confirmed by or not by the council.
And then I will add, as Amber said, Vermeulen is a relatively recent appointment. He was filling a slot for a year. And then the other one, David Jensen, is a relatively recent appointment as well. David was head of the ZBA for a number of years, and then we asked him to move over, which he very great. We are grateful that he did that. But John's been doing this. I think John was appointed by Mayor Gould.
I think I saw it said something like 2003, and I almost fell off my chair. I was like, I can't believe he's been doing this for that long.
Yeah. And then Kevin is one full term, right?
Yeah.
When I first came on as mayor, I appointed Kevin. Okay. Then the last two, Chris, you're going to take us through what an aeration blower is and why we're replacing it.
Oh, I love this. Yes. So I'm going to give a little bit of background. This is the first bid that we're asking the new council to approve. We put this out to bid in November, and the bids came back on December 16th, so the day after the last meeting with the council. The project is a capital project that was included in the 2025-2029 capital program, so that we've authorized it, we've allocated money, then we go out to bid. We had 5 bidders respond, and under New York state law, we have to take the lowest responsible bidder. Fortunately, the lowest bidder was the same company that's already doing a $4.5 million project at our wastewater treatment plant, upgrading the dewatering technology. Some of you have heard ad nauseum that I've talked about, that we're replacing our failing belt press with centrifuges. That project is about 75% done, and the company Blue Heron Construction that's doing it has been doing quite a great job. So we believe that their price was very good. They're already familiar with us. Now, these aeration blowers are essentially the lungs of the plant. Our wastewater treatment plant, and you'll also see it as the wastewater treatment facility, those are both interchangeable, is down on Dennings Avenue, and we have a system that uses activated sludge. So all of the organic materials that come into the wastewater system are broken down by microbes, and essentially they rely on oxygen so that that breakdown remains aerobic. It doesn't become anaerobic, in which case it puts off really bad gases. So these lungs are vital to making sure that that decomposition happens efficiently, that it happens without smell. It feeds water into the aeration tanks, our digester tank, and we also have a hauler tank. So we accept outside septage from companies, and that covers about 1/3 of the bills for our department. This replacement is going to replace out 2 larger blowers with 4 smaller ones so that they can be used more efficiently. So we'll be picking up energy efficiency progress on this because like a variable fan, you will only need to use as many as you need, and you don't have the larger units on. The low bid was $490,611. So if you approve the award, we would basically get under contract with this company. They would probably begin the work and mobilize sometime in early February. And we've already ordered the equipment. So we broke up the project so that we bought the city. We had a long lead time, meaning that the delivery would take 6 months or more. So we ordered this equipment last year after we passed the capital program. This contract is simply for them to install it and do all of the electrical work, the valving, set new pads so that we have a strong foundation for them.
Chris, can you talk a little bit about, because they reduced their bid and there's some email correspondence about some items that were like, I don't know if they're de-scoped or what, but
Yes.
are those like not necessary, or is somebody else doing that work?
Well, we think we can do them under a different contract.
Okay.
So in New York State law, you have WICS law, which if you have something, public work that is over $500,000, you're supposed to break it into at least 4 different components. So we would have had to break down electrical from general construction. Our estimates were for below $500,000, but the bids came in a little bit higher. So we reduced the scope of the work with things that we think we can live with to get that under the 5, so that we
Okay.
didn't have to go all the way back to bid and start over again.
So the additional
and
like
the-
70,000 or whatever the price difference is, that's not work that we expect to have to foot the bill for at some point, like, or do we have to bid that out and it just has to be under a different contract?
It remains to be seen.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll do it at a future time, but it wasn't absolutely
It's
necessary
not necessary
right
for
now.
the aeration project.
The other
Okay.
thing is that by eliminating that $70,000, it didn't affect the order of the bidders, because the next
They were
highest
so much
bidder
lower anyway, yeah.
was over $100,000 more. So even if nobody could say, well, you know, by changing that 70, it would have changed the outcome, and
Right.
it certainly didn't.
They were also the only one that was close to the engineering estimate anyway,
Yeah.
so that's helpful context
And,
as well.
and they're mobilized down there, so they do, anytime we're working with a contractor and they're already mobilized in here and they know us, and, you know, it saves a lot of work. We don't have to go through the whole getting to know them and who are your safety
Yeah.
contacts and tell us how you're doing things.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Blue Heron email in red states that no temp generators would be provided at any time and multiple 2-hour blow power shutdowns may have to occur. Any issues with that? Any contingencies that need to be planned to address that?
To be determined. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. We have had, we did a shutdown for the dewatering project, and it's a challenge. We have to plan ahead, so we have to basically make sure that our tanks are empty. We've processed all the waste. We will generally suspend acceptance of hauler waste so that we're not refilling that, and then we have a certain window to accomplish the transition. I'm less worried about it with the blowers than I am with the final changeover of the belt press to the centrifuges. But I think we can handle it either way. It's just we've got to be in a good place to be able to shut down. So we have to put extra people on for extra shifts that week to get everything processed in advance.
And 2-hour windows should be enough to kind of complete this work?
For this one, yeah. We were at a 4-hour window with the other one, and that was challenging because it's a lot of work.
Thank you.
And just some additional information, so to go through the bidding process in a bit more detail, New York State law requires that the bids be advertised. So the city places the advertisements on its website. in the New York State publication called the New York State Contract Reporter, the Poughkeepsie Journal, the official newspaper, and then an internet-based
Bidnet.
company called Bidnet. And the publication of it is a notice of advertisement to bidders, and it also includes, at least on the Bidnet site, the copy of the bid specifications, the draft contract, and then what is required in the proposal. All that gets submitted in a sealed envelope, and they're all opened at the same time in public and read aloud, and then tabulated, and the engineer and staff determine who was the lowest responsible bidder. Chris had made mention about an engineer's estimate. Typically with these larger projects, the engineers will provide an estimate. That is not subject to the Freedom of Information law until after the bids are open, so the staff knows what is a reasonable bid, but the bidders don't get a copy of that in advance. Just some more information for you.
And for us, that's just good context that it's, you know, if you're expecting the project to be 500,000 and the bids come in at 1.5 million, that like maybe you don't want to do that project right now.
Right.
And we've suspended, you'll remember the
Yeah.
first time we bid out Fishkill-Teller Avenue, it came in $6 million over budget. So we had to go and rescope the project and rebid it.
Yeah.
Okay. The only thing I will add is I remember being on council and getting a report on our wastewater treatment facility. I think it was part of a shared service opportunity. And we were told that our facility was at an end of its useful life and we should be, you know, looking to replace it and rebuild a new one, which was scary at the time, and it wasn't that long ago. And what we've done since, you know, the last 5 years is we've chunked it into parts, and we're effectively updating the facility without changing the building, right? But we're doing all of the component parts. And this is funded through the water bills, right? So this is not part of the tax base, it's part of the fee base that we do for water and sewer. Okay. All right, everyone good? All right, so next item is the license agreement for the flea market, and Chris, you'll also just take us through that.
Sure. So I think all of you know that we have a flea market that operates from April to the end of November each year on the parking lot at Beacon on Henry Street behind Sun River Healthcare. And one of the first things I did when I got here in 2021 was to renew that contract because it had been in place and it had expired. At that time, we did a one-year contract with 4 extensions. We've had no issues at all. I did that just out of caution because I didn't know who I was dealing with. It's a local person who does this, who lives in Beacon and has done this for many, many years. So we're proposing to continue that with a 5-year contract with a possible renewal for another 5 years. Again, I haven't had any issues at all with the flea market. I think Emma does a great job putting that together. It attracts a lot of people to the city. The only change we've made in the contract is just to increase the fee. So the fee, when we did this in 2021, was $250 each market. We just raised it for inflation, so it's now $280. Or no, it was $220, it went to $250, and then if we renew it, it would go to $280. Yeah, we'll have license agreements that come up from time to time, like the farmer's market, I think is up at the end of next year. So towards the end of next year, we'll be doing the same thing with the farmer's market.
I have no concerns with this specifically, but with the extended time frame, I'm just scrolling through here. Where is the section that allows us to terminate if needed?
Paragraph 2 on
Okay.
page 1 provides that either party can terminate it without cause, meaning for any reason, within 30 days' notice.
Okay, thank you.
And so our license agreements will have certain standard provisions, such as termination, insurance, permitted uses, so that it's defined what we're using it for, it's not just a blank check. And we've tried to, with Chris, create standardized forms so that the council sees the same form in every lease agreement, as well as our
And the
vendors.
one other thing that the attorneys wisely added is the vendors now have a
Yes.
form that they fill out indemnifying us, or I'm using the wrong term, holding
the-
us harmless?
Yeah, exactly. Exhibit B, a vendor hold harmless and indemnity agreement.
Okay.
so that any conduct they cause that causes someone to slip or fall, if we're being sued, they're defending us. And then we collect our certificates of insurance as well.
Can you explain the price? Because $250 sounds kind of little, not a lot, to charge a business. You know, they rent out the stalls to other businesses, right? I would assume there is a community benefit of having access to used and cheaper clothing and items, and collectibles and rare items. But what kind of logic went into making this price not 750, not 1,000, not
I mean,
500?
that's a good question. It was looking at other contracts, and it was what was in place. Like, so when I came 5 years ago, the price was $220, and I don't think we raised it. For comparison, the farmers market pays $100 a month. So if the farmers market operates 4 or 5 times, it's still $100. For the flea market, they don't operate when it's inclement weather. So we get a report of each, day that they do, and it's that fee for each. If anything, I think it's fair. I mean, I don't think Emma's making a ton of money on it, and I think it does have a net benefit to the city. We've seen it help activate. At first we weren't even allowing it to operate during Spirit of Beacon, but then we found that both the flea market and the farmers market actually added a lot of vitality to the events. We can rethink it if you want to make it $750. I don't have a comparison to. Yeah.
It's more for the public to understand why we came up with that number. To me, that is a big public benefit.
Yeah. I don't know how the original amount was determined.
Yeah, the original amount was determined based upon the assessor and staff at the time giving consideration to what would be a hourly rental use for the parking spaces that were being occupied. And that's how they arrived at it. And taking into account also, as you said, the public benefit with respect to use of facilities, merchants, taxes, and things of that nature.
Are the public bathrooms open for the public during the week, or they lock them up?
No, they lock them up.
And does the flea market cost us any money, like in staff time or cleaning? Do they are they self-sufficient?
They have been self-sufficient. I mean, I don't really even hear from them most of the year. We get their checks. We do the agreements periodically, and that has been about it. Actually, the farmers market is much more intensive, but I wouldn't propose to raise that fee either, because I really think what they're doing is fulfilling a public service. They participated in giving out the coupons to SNAP beneficiaries this year, and it really made a difference. So you do see the value in that. And again, if it was a private business renting some facility and they were making a ton of money, we would certainly charge them more. And we do so with the films. You'll hear periodically that we're licensing films, and we drive a good bargain for the city.
And then the agreement also does require them to provide garbage cans and remove their garbage, and also do certain maintenance obligations to make sure that it's cleaned up after they have completed the use.
Yeah. But both markets have been very positive in the 5 years I've been here.
So there is a provision about Beacon City School District being able to use a stall.
Yes.
Do you know if they have used, and whether we can think about opening that provision to other local nonprofits?
I'm not clear if it's been used before, but I think she would be open to doing whatever we need them to do. And we've done that with the farmers market. They will generally allow, like, our recreation department to have a table, or
Conservation Advisory Committee.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about the committees using it is, I think it attracts more outside people than, you go to the market once or twice a year, you're probably not going every week, but there are people that just go to flea markets and they travel for that. Mm-hmm. The farmers market, like when I lived here, I went to the farmers market every week.
But I can see somebody like a fairground or somebody else actually selling some items as a fundraising tool for their work.
Yeah.
I
I think that would probably be a better fit for the farmer's market. And they both operate on Sundays. And the farmer's market actually goes all year round now because they were so successful.
Yeah. I think for any nonprofits listening, to contact Emma Dewing and see what deal she can make for you.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, everybody good?
Yep.
All right, are we ready to go to formal meeting?
Yes.
All right, we need a break, or everyone ready?
Let's go.
All right, let me just call the meeting to order. So this is calling the formal meeting to order. Let's start with the pledge. It's behind you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will do a roll call again. I observe Carolyn, Sergey, Paloma, the mayor, Amber, Zach, and Lestar. So I think we have a full house, surprisingly not different than our workshop. I see the city attorney in person, and I see the city administrator. I don't think anyone's online. No. Okay. First is public comments. So I have the sign-up sheet, don't have much on there, but if someone in the physical audience would like to make a comment, this would be the time to do it. Please let us know who you are and where you live. Good evening.
Hi, my name is Justice McCrae. I live in Hannah Lane. And I am so happy to welcome this new city council. Thank you all for signing up to do this civic work that I have bowed out of. I wish you the best of luck. And I just wanted to congratulate you all, and I hope that this is a really wonderful journey for all of you. And then I also wanted to briefly talk about the nonprofit that I'm working with, Beacon's Backyard. We do a free breakfast program 3 days a week, and we launched on January 28th. So about a year ago, I came to this council to talk to some of you about what we were planning on doing. And since then, we have served over 12,100 meals to this community. And we are still going strong every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. So if you have constituents that have food concerns, or if you have folks that are looking for a space to build community, Beacon's Backyard wants to be that. So please feel free to reach out to me or to find us on social media, on the internet, or ask Zach, who has volunteered with us numerous times in our kitchen. And again, I want to thank you all. I know you all from different parts of Beacon, and the work that you've done outside of this space and here as well. And I look forward to seeing everything that you do.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to see you. Seeing it being a fairly sparse audience, I won't ask for any further public comment from the physical audience, but Ben, is there anyone online who'd like to make a public comment?
Yes, Mayor. If you're on Zoom and you'd like to make a public comment this evening, please use the raise hand option at the bottom of your screen. If you're joining by YouTube, you'll need to log on the Zoom account instead. You can do so by navigating to the city website, going to the calendar, and finding the meeting link for tonight. As of now, we have one hand raised on Zoom, and that is Teresa Kraft. Teresa, you have permission to speak whenever you're ready.
Teresa, you need to unmute, please. Teresa, you're still muted. She's signing in on a different account.
Okay.
Teresa, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we have you now. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you, and Happy New Year to all, and welcome aboard the Crazy Train. I also just want to make a public comment that I hope we bring back curb to curb with snow plowing, and even if it means ticketing and removing cars from Main Street. It's been a disaster. And we had no official text, email, or phone call during this past snowstorm. And I'd like it on record that we implement a historic commission for the city. Yes, other communities use us as a role model, and I really think that that would be a solid one. Our local surrounding communities have them, and they're not cities, but they enforce historic preservation, and we are losing way too much. So that should be a real goal for this year. Thank you very much, and I look forward to sitting back in that aisle. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ben, are we good?
No further hands on Zoom.
All right, so let's do reports. Do we want to start with, let's start with the at-large members and then go to the new ward members, starting with Ward 1 and then through Ward 4. So Amber, as the senior person here, you're up first this time.
All right. I'll be very brief. I just wanted to say that it's an honor to be here for my 5th term. I'm really excited to work with this new council, so welcome everybody. I'm very excited about what we're going to do for our community in the years ahead. I hope everybody had a lovely and restful holiday, or whatever it is you needed from that period of time. And let's get back to work. That's it.
I'll say ditto to everything that Amber said, and also say that my next open office hours are this coming second Sunday of the month, January 11th. I will be at Bank Square Coffee House from 4 to 6 p.m., again, this coming Sunday. Please let me know what you did over the holidays. Let me know what you would like this city council to do over the next year, any topic you would like. Do I get to decide who goes next?
No. Yes, you do.
Okay,
wow.
great.
Even better.
I'm going to go in reverse chronological order. Sorry, Carolyn.
Okay, well, no, thank you, but Mayor, thank you for not making us go first. I appreciate that. It's really an honor to be here. It's cool to be on this side of the table instead of watching on Zoom at home the next day. So I do have a couple of things. First off, I came here via the Traffic Safety Committee, and there is now a vacancy on the Traffic Safety Committee. There should be a form on the website. As of right before this meeting, the link was broken, but you can click on that link when it's live and send in an application. I highly recommend. It was an honor and a privilege to be on that committee. A lot of fun. Speaking of traffic safety, this is my time to finally have a public forum to say, enjoy taking the bus. The free loop here in Beacon, the G, is another reason that I got here. I took it today to run some errands. It's a great service. It means you don't have to park on Main Street. I want to thank everybody who was involved in the swearing in yesterday. I was maybe going to call out everyone by name, but I don't want to use up all of my time here, but I appreciate everybody who came out, everybody who took the time to participate in the ceremony. It was a really excellent experience. And I also want to say that I'm going to have my first office hours on Sunday, January 18th from 12:30 p.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. in the community room of the Howland Public Library. And I'll be joined by Yvette Valdez-Smith, who is our county legislator who represents Ward 4. And I'm just finally want to thank my family for all their support in being here, and go to bed, kids.
All right. I am also very happy to be on this side of the table. Thank you everyone who encouraged me and supported me in this endeavor. I am coming here from Conservation Advisory Committee, which now has a vacancy. It was a very rewarding experience to be there for the last 5 years or so, so I highly recommend. It's a great group of people there, and Stacey is doing a lot of meaningful work around Beacon. One of our big focuses was, and my focus will be going forward, is walkable and safe city. So I do have some concerns over snow on the sidewalks. There are some areas where just a foot of snow is cleared on the sidewalks. I saw somebody pushing a stroller with 2 kids, and it was pretty unpleasant sight. Also some areas where the curb cuts are and access to the pedestrian crossings had piles of snow. I would be interested to continue the conversation that was started in the previous council about the city potentially taking over, understanding what will be involved in the city taking over sidewalk clearing. If other communities have done it, or if there's a way to use contractors. But for prolonged period of time, parts of the city are very hard to navigate. I would also encourage drivers to be careful. There is black ice on the road in the mornings, and the braking speeds are much longer. And for the hikers, highly recommend traction device, microspikes. There were some injuries on the Beacon Mountain recently that my friends had to help people down from the mountain. There is a lot of ice. I would like to, at some point, get an update on the 25-mile-an-hour initiative the previous council has been working on, and get an update where we stand on that. Lastly, I will have my first office hours on Thursday, January 15, between 6 and 7 at 1 East Main, Trax Coffee Shop. If the time doesn't work for you, reach to me by email, and we will find a way to meet. Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. In addition to what everybody else here has said, I'm also glad to be here. I would also like to thank the organizers of the swearing-in ceremony yesterday. It was a wonderful civic event, so thank you for that. The piece I want to say here is I have heard a lot of great suggestions from our neighbors in this past year as I've been going around and talking to people at the doors, and I want to thank everybody who provided suggestions when I came to talk to you. I know it is not the easiest thing to talk to somebody showing up out of the blue and asking you what your concerns are, but I've gotten a lot of great suggestions, and I actually have a stack of notes here with those suggestions as well. I would ask that you keep them coming in the coming term. Nothing is too big or too small. I truly do believe that even small issues such as broken street lights, cracked sidewalks are things that can be addressed that will provide real tangible quality of life improvements. And that's something that I would like to prioritize for all of you. In terms of office hours, I will be scheduling them in the interim 2 weeks, and I will have an update for that for my next report. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I will echo what everyone else has said. Yesterday was an amazing ceremony. I'm very happy to be here. I want to say thank you to all of the Ward 1 residents who voted me to be in this seat, and I will not stop working hard for you. For those of you who have already reached out to me with concerns, trust me, I'm working on them. If you have any concerns, feel free to email me at lborton@beaconny.gov or text or call me at 845-603-2319. I'm always available. I have not set up office hours, but I will make myself available to you when needed. So please call me, email me, or text me. We will set that up. And I'm very excited and happy to be here to start this work.
Welcome, everyone. It was nice to listen to new voices up here. A couple of things. So I participated in a number of things before the holidays, including staffing the Visitor Center as a certified tourism ambassador, which was a lot of fun. I attended apparently one event too many since I got the flu right around Christmas time, and then my wife did the same. We're over that now, but it made the holidays a little less pleasant. For yesterday's event, I just want to thank the veterans who, opened up their facility to us, and in particular the Army Cavalry, who were the two gentlemen that put everything away when we finished up. I also want to thank Pastor John Perez for doing the invocation and closing prayer on short notice, so thank you. A couple of things that before I ask the city administrator to do updates. First, Fishkill Teller, if you haven't figured out, is 99% done. Everything under the ground is finished, and the underground is always the most difficult and longest part, and the part that you never see. That's a $10 million project, been on the books for 20 years, and we were about to lose funding. I just want to thank the city administrator for being dogged in his chasing down and making sure we got it done, and making sure the $10 million of other people's money came to the benefit of the city. Second, we've started construction of the solar array on top of the highway garage. That's probably going to get done in the next month or so, and I'm told that it will power the equivalent of 10 and a half homes, and will increase our share of self-generated electricity in the city from about 70% to about 75?
74.
74? Yeah, so then
We're
that's
going
the
up a little
portion
bit.
of the municipal power generation, not the entire community, but our portion as a city that we self-generate. Third, there's $167,000 of community development block grant that was about to be released. I got the agreements to sign right at the end of the year, was excited by it. We've been waiting to see, which is federal funding, whether that was still coming. Apparently it is, and it will allow us to do our project on the South Avenue and Wolcott Avenue sidewalks, right? We're working on
Between
Wolcott.
South and the Beacon Housing Authority.
Right. And then finally, and you might have seen this in a release from the DEC, the city was awarded $2 million for the rehabilitation of the Melzinga Dam. For those of you who were around, you know we had applied for these grants before, hadn't been given them, and we deferred doing the work, figuring we're going to get the money at some point. There's no reason we should be using taxpayer funds for this. So that $2 million will go a very long way, and it's, again, for our Melzinga Dam, which is going to get both raised a little bit, but then rehabilitated as well. I just want to specifically thank Felion and Ben Swanson for doing the work. This was a climate smart grant, which is the harder one, or at least the rarer one to get. We were kind of expecting the other one, but this is great.
Yes.
So I just want to pass all that along and then see what the city administrator wants to add.
Well, we had a couple things that are in your packet. Each year, I'm supposed to designate acting city administrators. So if I'm unable to conduct my duties here, these people would fill in. I proposed to the mayor that Ben Swanson, as my deputy, would be the first, and then Susan Tucker, the director of finance, would be the second, and he has accepted that. You'll also see in your packet a city administrator's command letter. This is something that I have to do every year. The county sets its tax rates and the city sets its tax rates, and then we have to do the command letter to the finance department saying you're going to be collecting $4,749,597.41 for the county and $13,880,238.00 for the city. So that command letter I used to read, I'm giving you the abridged version so that I can tell you about Christmas tree pickups. We are picking up Christmas trees and they will be mulched and composted, so please take off all of the beautiful ornaments and tinsel that you have so that we can grind them up. And also please don't bag them. And that's all I have other than welcoming the new council. And I do want to thank our city attorney for arranging a training session that we did with the 4 new members, and Paloma sat in for a while and the mayor sat in. We did an all-day thing on Friday a couple weeks ago over at the firehouse, and it was just really thoughtful. And I've heard other communities say, nobody's ever done that here. And I just want to thank you for organizing that and spearheading it.
Thank you.
Yes, and
Thank you.
as comparison, I think the one term you served on council, Chris, there was no orientation.
They wouldn't even tell me where the restrooms are.
And same with me for the first, 5 or 6 rounds. So one of the things we thought we should do is train folks. Okay, are we ready to do local laws and resolutions?
Yes.
All right, let's do them. So the first one is a resolution approving the city council rules of procedure. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
So that's Amber and Zach, and that's with a single change, forward change on one of the rules, and then we're also reserving that Christian's going to take a peek at that one clause regarding cameras and possibly suggest a simpler version of that that's still consistent with case and state law.
Okay.
Everyone good with that? All right, so if that's the motion, all
It
in
is.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. And if there is a change, we'll bring it, we can change the rules at any time. All right, the second resolution is designating the Poughkeepsie Journal, sadly, as the newspaper of record. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
All right.
Second.
That's LaStar and Paloma.
Yeah, I
What-
was wondering about
Somehow
that.
the calendar is,
I thought that
Okay.
was just inherent in the rules of procedure. Do we have to adopt a calendar?
It does need to be adopted,
we
yes.
Okay.
will need to adopt it.
All right.
Why don't we do it at the end, because we've already numbered resolutions, and I apologize for the omission.
Okay.
We'll address that after the meeting.
Well, don't let it happen
Molly.
again.
Molly would have thought it.
All right, so let's do
Yeah, where's Molly
Resolution
when
2, which is the Poughkeepsie Journal. All in favor of designating Poughkeepsie Journal as the newspaper of record, say aye.
Aye.
All right, anyone opposed? When we get to item 10, I will do a motion to amend the agenda. But until then, let's keep going through the resolutions. I need a motion and a second to appoint Amber Grant as acting mayor.
Motion?
So that's
Second.
Carolyn. I will second that one, since I'm allowed to. Sorry to take rank. Any discussion? Any offering of alternatives? Any
Thank you,
attempts?
Amber, for doing this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
You know I love the gavel.
All in favor of appointing Amber Grant as acting mayor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. So do I
I
see?
would like to make a motion
Yes,
to take items 4, 5, 6, and 7 as a consent agenda for the planning board appointments.
all right, so is there a second to that?
Second.
So there's a motion and a second by Amber and Paloma to appoint John Gunn, James Vermeulen, Kevin Byrne, and David Jensen reappoint them to the planning board. All those in favor of making that a consent agenda item, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Now I will take a motion and a second on the consent agenda item.
Motion.
Second.
So Sergey and Zach, so the motion is as a consent agenda item to appoint the same 4 individuals, John Gunn, James Vermeulen, Kevin Byrne, and David Jensen, to reappoint them to the planning board. That's the motion and a second. Any discussion? So all in favor of the consent agenda item, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, and I just want to reiterate my thanks to these 4 individuals, as well as everyone on the planning board and zoning board for their hard work. I know those are tough boards, and I'm very appreciative. Okay, so item 8, I need a motion and a second to award a contract to Blue Heron Construction for aeration blower replacement.
Motion?
So that's
Second.
Carolyn and Paloma. Any discussion? Any discussion further than our discussion in the workshop earlier in the evening?
Excited this project's moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah. No, and it's just the extent to which we have upgraded and updated our sewage treatment facility is really laudatory.
And tours will be coming in the spring when
Yeah.
the weather turns.
Yes, and you don't want a current tour in that one building right now. So, unless you're willing to change clothes. So, all in favor of awarding the contract to Blue Heron Construction, say aye.
Aye.
And anyone opposed? Okay, the 9th item is authorizing the city administrator to execute a license agreement for the Beacon Flea Market. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion?
So that's Paloma and LaStar.
Second.
It's all right. Any comments or discussion in addition to that which we had earlier in the evening?
Go visit the flea market.
Yeah.
All right, so all in favor of authorizing the
In April.
administrator?
In April. Yeah, don't go today.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You're going to be very disappointed.
Don't go right now.
All in favor of authorizing the administrator to execute an agreement with the flea market, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. I will entertain a motion to amend tonight's agenda to add a 10th item regarding the calendar of the council.
Motion.
Second.
So that's Zach and Amber. All in favor of adding that?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, so having added that, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the council calendar for 2026.
Motion.
So that's
Second.
Lestar and Sergey?
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion? So as we discussed in workshop, this is our current calendar. If we change it, we'll change it. If we have input, we'll receive it, and we'll talk about it as we go. All right?
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate to the public that our meetings are still on the first and third Monday of the month, and they still begin with public comment. So please come, tell us what you think.
Right. Right. Meetings will start at 7, as always. All right, so all in favor of adopting the council calendar for 2026, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And Mayor, I'm sorry, just a reminder that you also have your appointment of the chair to the planning board to announce.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so I will reappoint John Gunn as chairman of the planning board.
Right, and that doesn't require a council vote, that's just the mayor's authority, but once you completed the appointment of Mr. Gunn, you were going to announce his reappointment as chair.
Very good. Yes, now that he's back on.
Yes.
And you've heard, John's been doing this for a long time. In fact, John Gunn and Sarah Pasty co-chaired our comprehensive plan committees as well, and so they've got a wealth of information and knowledge. Sarah Pasty has gone on to the city of Kingston. She is now an alderwoman, or I'm not sure what they call them there, but on the Kingston City Council, and we miss her. So, I don't know how to do the next item. It's the approval of the minutes for December 15th. I know I can do a motion in a second, but I don't know.
Motion.
All right, so Amber's is proposing that
And
we
in
adopt.
honor of Molly, there's a typo in Ward 4.
Wait, who was the second, please?
Paloma was the second,
Okay.
right? And I'm sorry, what was the comment about the
I
minutes?
said, in honor of Molly, there's a typo of the title of Ward 4.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else in terms
It'll
of
be
changes,
corrected.
adjustments?
That's the last time I'm going to say it.
I will need one or more of the newbies to be the legal beagles of the minutes. And we look forward to you becoming experts at making sure we get it right. All in favor of adopting the minutes of December 15th with that one change, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? This is the second opportunity for public comment. If you have not made a comment previously and would like to do so now, this would be your opportunity. Seeing no one in the physical audience who can make a comment anew, I'll ask whether there's anyone online.
None online?
I will note that our next meeting will be on Tuesday, January 20th?
Yes.
Yes.
Because we have Martin
in light
Luther
of
King.
Martin
We're
Luther
closed for
King.
Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah. So let me announce that. That will be at 7, and as discussed, it will start with a workshop and then a regular meeting, but the public comments will be first on the list at 7. All right. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
So Amber and Sergey, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's a pleasure to be up here with you all. Welcome and have a good evening.
Congratulations on your first set of votes.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations.
Recordings.